I'll teach this little criminal a lesson.
Take your hands off my son.
My phone buzzed with a doorbell camera alert while I was in a meeting 40 minutes from home. I opened the app and watched Diane Hartwell grab my 10-year-old son's arm. I'll teach this little criminal a lesson about respecting community property. Her voice came through crisp and clear. 2 security guards flanked her. A sheriff's deputy stood behind them. Eli was crying. "Mom, I already told Dad about the light," my son said, trying to pull away. "It was an accident. The basketball—" "I have video evidence of deliberate vandalism." The HOA president tightened her grip. "You're coming with me to the police station for questioning. I was watching it happen in real time, and she had no idea my doorbell camera was recording every word, every movement, every crime she was committing. If you've ever watched someone put their hands on your child and felt completely powerless to stop it, then hit subscribe now." I'm Nathan Cross, cybersecurity specialist, digital forensics expert. I spend 40 hours a week analyzing surveillance footage for criminal cases, teaching corporations how to secure their systems, testifying in court about video evidence authenticity. Diane Hartwell just grabbed my son on camera, threatened him, attempted to transport a minor without parental consent, and she did it all while standing in front of my doorbell camera, the one that captures 1080p video with audio, uploads to encrypted cloud storage, and creates evidence that holds up in any court in America. I left my meeting without explanation, broke every speed limit getting home. Eli's mother, my wife Sarah, died 3 years ago. Car accident, drunk driver. One moment she was there, the next she was gone, and I was left raising our son alone. I promised her I'd keep him safe, promised I'd protect him from everything. Then Diane Hartwell put her hands on him and called him a criminal over a $50 light cover he'd accidentally broken with a basketball. When I pulled into my driveway, the board chair had Eli in her car. She was attempting to drive away with my son. I blocked her car with mine, threw it in park, and walked to her window. "Get out of the car, now." She held up her phone, showed me surveillance footage. "Your delinquent child deliberately destroyed HOA property. I'm taking him to file a police report." "You're assaulting a minor on camera." I pulled out my phone, showed her my doorbell footage. "Every word you said, every second you had your hands on my son, recorded." The former paralegal's smile faltered, just slightly. "Tell where are you watching from? You have 3 seconds to unlock that door before I call actual police and show them how you kidnapped a 10-year-old. She unlocked the door. Eli ran to me, shaking, and I realized something as I held my son. This woman had just made the worst mistake of her life. That evening, I sat with Eli on our couch. He was still shaking, picking at the cast on his wrist from a skateboarding accident last month. "Am I in trouble, Dad?" "No, you're not in trouble." I pulled him closer. "Tell me what happened. Everything." The story came out slowly. He'd been playing basketball in the community park. The ball bounced wrong, hit the decorative light post. The glass cover cracked. Eli immediately came home and told me. I'd called HOA maintenance within 10 minutes, offered to pay for the replacement. "But this isn't the first time she's watched you, is it?" Eli's face went pale. "How did you know?" "Tell me." "There's always security guards following me. When I ride my bike, when I skateboard, when I play basketball." His voice dropped to a whisper. "They have cameras. They're always recording me." My jaw tightened. "How long has this been happening?" "Months, since you complained about the HOA fee increase." I opened my laptop, pulled up the Meadowbrook Village Facebook page, searched for posts about children and violations, found them immediately. The Johnson family, 3 weeks ago, HOA cited our 8-year-old for chalk vandalism on the sidewalk. They showed us surveillance footage and threatened to fine us $200. The Patel family last month. Security guards followed our twins home from the park claiming their skateboards were excessive noise violations. They recorded them and said they're building an incident file. The Washington family, 2 months ago. Our daughter was running near the pool, not on the deck, near it. HOA security stopped her, questioned her without us present, said they have her on camera, creating a safety hazard. I kept scrolling, found more. Parents describing the same pattern. Surveillance footage, security guards documenting children, Diane Hartwell showing up with evidence of violations, normal childhood behavior being criminalized. "Dad?" Eli's voice was small. Am I going to jail? I closed the laptop and looked at my son. He'd lost his mother at 7, watched her die in a hospital bed, holding her hand, asking when she'd come home. Now he was 10, and an HOA president was calling him a criminal for accidentally breaking a light cover. No one is taking you anywhere, I promise. But even as I said it, I knew this wasn't over. The board chair had filed a police report. She had surveillance footage she'd probably already edited to make the accident look deliberate. She had political connections through her husband, and she'd already put her hands on my son once. My phone buzzed. Email from Meadowbrook Village HOA. Subject: formal violation notice, criminal vandalism. The war had just begun. Someone knocked on my door at 11 that night, hard enough to wake Eli upstairs. I checked the doorbell camera. A man in a Meadowbrook security jacket stood on my porch, looking over his shoulder like he expected to be followed. Kevin Ramos. I'd seen him around the community, always with a radio and clipboard. I opened the door, but didn't invite him in. Mr. Cross. His voice was rough. I need to talk to you, off the record. About? About what happened today. About... He glanced at the street again. About what's going to happen next. He looked exhausted. Late 50s, maybe. Retired cop build, going soft. His hands kept clenching and unclenching at his sides. I'm the one who installed the surveillance system here. All 140 cameras. I monitor them. Maintain them. He met my eyes. I know what Diane Hartwell is doing with them. And what is she doing? Kevin pulled out his phone, showed me a text thread. Messages from the HOA president demanding footage. Get me more video of the Cross kid. Document every violation. I want evidence. She's been targeting your son for months, since you opposed her at that budget meeting. His jaw worked. She does this, picks families she doesn't like, uses the cameras to build cases against their kids. You're helping her. I was. Shame flooded his face. I've got 2 kids in college, grandkids. This job pays my pension gap. I couldn't afford to say no. But I watched her grab your 10-year-old today. Watched her threaten to take him to jail over a broken light cover. His voice cracked. My granddaughter is 8. And I stood there monitoring cameras while the board chair terrorized a kid who could be her. He shoved the phone back in his pocket. She's planning to press criminal charges. Juvenile vandalism. And she's editing the surveillance footage to make it look deliberate. You have proof? I have access to the raw files and her edited versions. But I can't give them to you. I can't testify. If Meadowbrook's enforcer finds out I talked to you, I lose everything. Then why are you here? Kevin's hands finally stopped shaking. He looked at me dead on. Because someone needs to know what she's building here. She has files on 47 kids, documenting normal play like it's criminal behavior. She sends them to schools, to police, to anyone who'll listen. He turned to leave, stopped. Your doorbell footage from today, keep multiple copies. She'll try to make it disappear. How? Because the former paralegal doesn't just edit surveillance footage. His expression went dark. She makes it vanish completely. The next morning, a sheriff's deputy arrived at my door with official paperwork. Police report numbers 2024-8847, filed by Diane Hartwell. Vandalism, destruction of HOA property. Suspect, Eli Cross, age 10. She was actually doing it, pressing criminal charges against my son. 2 hours later, Eli's school called. The principal needed to see me immediately. I sat in her office while she slid a thick folder across the desk. Mr. Cross, we received this from the Meadowbrook Village HOA. It's concerning. I opened it. Behavioral incident compilation, Eli Cross. 20 pages. Surveillance screenshots of Eli playing basketball, riding his bike, skateboarding in the park. Each one captioned with phrases like aggressive behavior, disregard for authority, escalating pattern of violations. This is normal 10-year-old play. I understand, but the documentation claims he's demonstrated violent tendencies, property destruction, failure to comply with community safety standards. The principal looked uncomfortable. The HOA president suggested we monitor him for behavioral issues. I stared at the folder. Diane Hartwell was trying to create a juvenile record before any court hearing ever happened. My son accidentally broke a light cover. That's the entire incident. I'm not saying I believe this report, Mr. Cross, but it's now in Eli's file. If there are future concerns, there won't be. That afternoon, I took Eli to the community park, tried to let him play like a normal kid. 2 security guards showed up within 5 minutes, cameras out, openly filming him. Just documenting community activity, one said when I confronted them. My phone buzzed. Email from Meadowbrook Village HOA. Violation notice. Failure to control minors' destructive behavior. Fine. $500 per day until compliance achieved. $500 a day, because my son broke a light cover I'd already offered to pay for. That evening, another email blast went out to all 280 homeowners. Subject: protecting our community from vandalism. I opened it. Surveillance footage of Eli hitting the light post. But the video was edited. It started mid-swing, made it look like he'd deliberately aimed for it, cut out the context, cut out him looking concerned afterward, cut out him running home to tell me. The board chair's message below. This is what happens when parents refuse to teach children respect for community property. Vandalism will not be tolerated in Meadowbrook Village. My neighbors were seeing my son portrayed as a deliberate vandal, a criminal, a problem that needed to be eliminated. Eli stood behind me, reading over my shoulder. Dad, why is she lying about me? I closed my laptop before he could see the comments already appearing. Neighbors calling for our eviction, calling my son a menace. Because she doesn't know who she's dealing with. I pulled up my work computer. But she's about to find out. I spent that night doing what I do best, analyzing surveillance systems for vulnerabilities. Started with the basics, pulled up Meadowbrook Village's HOA documents, found the security contract, SecureWatch Solutions, installed 2022. I ran their business license through Arizona's contractor database. No results. Ran it again. Still nothing. The company that installed 140 plus cameras throughout our community wasn't licensed to operate in Arizona. They were based in Nevada with no Arizona contractor registration, no bonding, no legal authority to install surveillance systems here. Strike one against the board chair. Next, I mapped every camera location using HOA community diagrams and complaint records I'd saved from the Facebook page. Overlaid them with property lines and window placements. 23 cameras were positioned to record directly into homes through windows, bedrooms, living rooms, kitchens, places where Arizona law requires two-party consent for recording because there's a reasonable expectation of privacy. Strike two. I accessed the system's technical specifications, publicly available because the HOA had posted them during the installation approval process. No data retention policy. Footage kept indefinitely instead of the standard 30-60-day deletion cycle. That meant years of recordings of children, families, private moments, all stored without consent or legal justification. Then I did what Diane Hartwell probably didn't think anyone in Meadowbrook Village could do. I analyzed the network security. The system was a disaster. Default password still active, weak encryption, outdated firmware with known vulnerabilities. I could have hacked into it in under an hour, and I'm not even trying. But someone else had been trying. The access logs showed external IP addresses, not from our community, accessing the camera feeds regularly. Someone outside Meadowbrook had been watching our homes, our children, our lives, for months. My hand stopped moving on the keyboard. The HOA president had built a surveillance network so insecure that strangers could access it, could watch our families, could plan burglaries, stalk residents, target children. Finally, I pulled up Diane's admin account activity. She didn't know I could see this, but administrative access logs are always visible to anyone with the right tools. Dozens of video files downloaded, edited, timestamps modified, metadata showing deletions and alterations. The clip she'd sent to the neighborhood, Eli deliberately hitting the light, downloaded at 3:47 p.m. yesterday. Original file, 47 seconds. Her edited version, 8 seconds. She'd cut 39 seconds of context to manufacture evidence against my son. I sat back, staring at the screen. Kevin had been right. Meadowbrook's enforcer wasn't just targeting children. She'd built an illegal surveillance state, and she had no idea I could prove every single violation. The next morning, I took Eli to the community park, to the bench where Sarah used to bring him before she died, where they'd feed ducks and talk about everything and nothing. We sat there in silence for a while. Then Eli asked the question I'd been dreading. Am I going to jail, Dad? I turned to face him, my 10-year-old son, who'd lost his mother at 7, who still slept with her photo on his nightstand, who flinched every time he saw an HOA security guard now. No one is taking you anywhere, I promise you. But the police report is based on lies, on edited video that I can prove was manipulated. I put my hand on his shoulder. Sometimes adults abuse their power. They think they can get away with it because they have authority or money or connections. Like her. But there are ways to fight back, legal ways, ways that expose what they're really doing. Eli looked at the park where security guards had filmed him yesterday. She has cameras everywhere. She does, and that's going to be her biggest mistake. After I took Eli to school, I called Maria Chen. We'd worked together on 3 digital evidence cases, me as expert witness, her as the attorney who knew how to turn technical findings into courtroom victories. Nathan, it's been a while. I need your help. Civil rights case, privacy violations, illegal surveillance, false imprisonment of a minor. I heard her sit up. Tell me everything. I did. The doorbell footage of Diane Hartwell grabbing Eli, the unlicensed security company, the cameras recording into homes, the edited footage, the unauthorized external access to the system. Maria was quiet for a long moment. This is a civil rights goldmine, multiple privacy law violations, evidence tampering, assault on a minor. We could build a class action for all 280 families. There's one problem. The board chair's husband is on the city council. She has political connections. This is going to get ugly. Nathan, she physically grabbed your son and called him a criminal on camera. She edited surveillance footage to manufacture evidence against a 10-year-old. How much uglier can it get? I looked at the park bench where Sarah used to sit with Eli, where she'd made me promise to always protect our son. I don't care how connected she is. I don't care how ugly this gets. My voice was steady, final. She put her hands on my child, and I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what Meadowbrook's enforcer has been building here. Then let's go to war, legally, properly, but let's burn this surveillance state to the ground. My phone buzzed at midnight. Unknown number, encrypted messaging app I used for work. It's Kevin Ramos. We need to meet, tonight, away from the cameras. 20 minutes later, I sat in my car in a truck stop parking lot 3 miles outside Meadowbrook Village. Kevin pulled up beside me, got in my passenger seat. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. I can't do this anymore. He pulled out a flash drive. Everything's on here. Complete back-end access to the surveillance system, admin credentials, full footage archives going back 2 years. I took it carefully. Kevin, if Diane Hartwell finds out, she's selling our footage. His voice was flat, dead, to a company called Sentinel Data Analytics. $500 a month. They're a data broker. They take our surveillance feeds and sell them to third parties for security consulting. My blood went cold. She's monetizing the neighborhood's privacy, without disclosure, without consent, for 3 years. He pulled out printed emails. Here, her correspondence with them, negotiating rates, discussing high-value residential surveillance data. I scanned the emails. The HOA president had turned 280 families into a product. There's more. Kevin opened his phone, pulled up video files. The raw footage of your son's accident, unedited. Watch. I did. 47 seconds. Eli playing basketball. Ball bounces wrong. Hits the light post. Glass cracks. Eli's face immediately shows concern. He looks at the damage, looks around to see if anyone's watching, then runs toward home. Now watch hers. 8 seconds. Starts mid-swing. Ends when glass breaks. No context. No aftermath. Looks completely deliberate. She cut 39 seconds to manufacture evidence against a 10-year-old. She's done it to 47 kids. Kevin's hands shook. I have all their files on that drive. Children as young as 5. Normal play documented like criminal behavior. She sends these files to schools, to police, destroys families. Why now? Why are you giving me this? He met my eyes. Broken, guilty, determined. Because I have grandkids. Because I watched the board chair grab your son and I did nothing. Because I've been complicit in building a surveillance prison. His voice cracked. Because I can't live with myself anymore. You'll lose your job. I know. but I'll keep my soul. He opened the car door. That drive has everything you need. Use it. Stop her, please. He left me sitting there with evidence that could dismantle Meadowbrook's enforcer completely. I turned my home office into an operations center. 3 monitors, Kevin's flash drive, my forensics toolkit. Every piece of evidence organized like I was building a federal case, because that's exactly what I was doing. First, the video comparisons. I created side-by-side displays. Left screen, Diane Hartwell's 8-second edited clip showing Eli deliberately hitting the light. Right screen, the unedited 47 seconds showing the accident, his concern, him running home to tell me. Timestamps proved the editing. Metadata showed file creation dates, modification history, admin account access, irrefutable digital forensics. I created comparison videos for 12 other children. Same pattern every time. The HOA president cut context, manipulated timing, manufactured criminal intent from innocent play. Next, the camera placements. I built a 3D map of Meadowbrook Village showing all 140 cameras, highlighted the 23 positioned to record through windows into private homes, overlaid Arizona privacy law requiring 2-party consent, each one a separate violation. The network security analysis came together in devastating detail. I documented every vulnerability, default passwords, weak encryption, outdated firmware. Then I traced the unauthorized external IP addresses accessing our feeds. Sentinel Data Analytics, the same company buying footage from the board chair. She wasn't just selling surveillance data. She was selling access to a system so insecure that criminals could exploit it. I found evidence in the access logs. Someone had used the camera feeds to case 3 homes in Meadowbrook before burglaries last year. The police never connected it, but the digital trail was there. Maria Chen filed the class action that afternoon. Cross et al. V. Meadowbrook Village HOA and Diane Hartwell. Privacy violations under Arizona law, illegal surveillance, evidence tampering, false imprisonment of a minor, punitive damages. All 280 families represented, every homeowner whose privacy had been violated. I built the media package next. Professional presentation, doorbell footage of Diane grabbing Eli, side-by-side video comparisons showing manipulation, network diagrams showing illegal cameras, financial records showing data sales, children's files documenting systematic harassment, everything an investigative journalist needed to expose Meadowbrook's enforcer completely. Finally, I created the social media accounts. Surveillance State HOA. Evidence drops scheduled. Hashtags ready. The footage of the former paralegal physically grabbing my 10-year-old son, calling him a criminal, trying to take him away, that would go live first. 40 hours a week, I analyzed surveillance systems for corporations. Now I was using every skill I had to dismantle one, and Diane Hartwell had no idea the cameras were about to turn on her. I sent encrypted messages to the 4 families whose children had been targeted: the Johnsons, Patels, Washingtons, and us. Meeting tonight, outside Meadowbrook, away from cameras, bring evidence of harassment. The public library conference room was 20 minutes away. Neutral ground, no HOA surveillance watching our every move. They arrived looking exhausted, scared, parents who'd been fighting alone against the board chair's machine. Thank you for coming. I connected my laptop to the room's projector. What I'm about to show you is going to be difficult, but you need to see what's really happening in our community. I started with the surveillance map. 140 cameras, 23 recording into homes illegally. Mrs. Johnson's hand went to her mouth. That camera on the light post near our house, records through your bedroom window, has been for 2 years. Next, the data sales. Diane Hartwell selling footage to Sentinel Data Analytics for profit. She's been selling videos of our children? Mr. Patel's voice rose. Without telling us? Without consent? For 3 years, making $500 a month off our privacy. Then, the children's files. 47 kids documented like criminals for normal play. I showed them the video comparisons. How the HOA president edited footage to manufacture evidence. How she'd done it to their children too. Mrs. Washington was crying. My daughter is 9. She's documented like some kind of suspect. All of them are. And she sends these files to schools, to police, trying to create juvenile records. Finally, I showed them my doorbell footage. Diane Hartwell grabbing Eli. The audio clear. I'll teach this little criminal a lesson. The room went silent. We're filing a class action lawsuit. All 280 families. Privacy violations, illegal surveillance. We're going to the media. We're exposing everything. I looked at each of them. But I need to know, are you willing to speak publicly? To tell your stories? They looked at each other. These parents who'd been isolated, threatened, made to feel like they were alone against an impossible system. Yes, Mr. Johnson stood. Our kids deserve better than this. I'm in, Mrs. Patel said. So are we, the Washingtons agreed. I pulled up my phone. Then it's time everyone knows what Meadowbrook's enforcer has been building here. I called the investigative reporter I'd researched, Jessica Torres. She'd exposed 3 HOA scandals in Phoenix. Ms. Torres, I have evidence of the most extensive illegal HOA surveillance operation in Arizona. 140 cameras, privacy violations, data sales, children targeted. Can we talk? She answered within one ring. When can you meet? I posted the doorbell footage at 6 a.m. Thursday morning. 30 seconds. Diane Hartwell grabbing Eli's arm, her voice clear. I'll teach this little criminal a lesson about respecting community property. A 10-year-old crying. A mother who'd been dead 3 years unable to protect him. An HOA president committing assault on camera. The video hit 100,000 views in 2 hours, 1 million by noon. By afternoon, it was everywhere. Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, TikTok, national news outlets picking it up. HOA president caught on camera dragging child. The comments section exploded. Thousands of people sharing their own HOA horror stories. Parents outraged. The phrase HOA Karen trending nationwide. Jessica Torres's investigative report aired at 6 p.m. I watched it with Eli. Tonight, an exclusive investigation into illegal surveillance in a Phoenix suburb. How one HOA turned privacy into profit and targeted children in the process. She showed everything. The cameras pointed into homes, the unlicensed security company, the data sales to Sentinel Analytics, the side-by-side video comparisons showing how the board chair edited footage to frame children, interviews with the 4 families, Mrs. Johnson describing how her 8-year-old was documented for sidewalk chalk, the Patels explaining their twins were followed and filmed for skateboarding, and my doorbell footage, played in full, Diane's hand on Eli's arm, her threat to take him away. The HOA president declined our request for comment, Jessica said, but tonight, 280 families are demanding answers about who's been watching them and why. My phone exploded with calls. Other Meadowbrook residents who'd just learned their homes had been illegally recorded, who'd just discovered their privacy had been sold for profit. Diane Hartwell called an emergency HOA meeting for 7 p.m. Damage control. I watched the live stream from home. The clubhouse was packed. Angry homeowners, media cameras in the back. This is a coordinated smear campaign by a disgruntled resident, the HOA president started. You recorded our homes, someone shouted. You sold our footage. You built files on our children. You assaulted a 10-year-old, the room erupted. 3 board members stood up and resigned on the spot. We didn't know about the illegal cameras. We didn't know about the data sales. This is criminal. My phone buzzed. Text from Maria Chen. Arizona Attorney General's office just announced investigation into HOA surveillance practices and privacy violations. We did it, Nathan. I looked at Eli. He was smiling for the first time in days. If this story resonates with you, if you've ever felt powerless against authority, stay with me. Because what happens next changes everything. The emergency HOA meeting 2 days later was the largest Meadowbrook village had ever seen. Over 200 homeowners packed the clubhouse. Media cameras lined the walls. The 4 affected families sat in the front row with me. Diane Hartwell tried to call the meeting to order. Her voice shook. If we could please, you recorded our bedrooms. A homeowner stood up, holding printed screenshots. Camera 47 points directly into my daughter's room. You sold our footage for profit. You built criminal files on 5-year-olds. The board chair banged her gavel. This is out of order. We will follow proper procedure? I stood up. Like the proper procedure you followed when you grabbed my 10-year-old son and tried to kidnap him? The room went silent. I'd like to present evidence during public comment, as is my legal right under HOA bylaws. Maria Chen stood beside me. Mr. Cross has 3 minutes, as outlined in your governing documents. I connected my laptop to the projector, the screen filled with side-by-side videos. Left screen, what the HOA president sent to 280 families, claiming my son deliberately vandalized property. Right screen, the unedited footage from her own surveillance system. The videos played. 8 seconds of edited manipulation versus 47 seconds of reality. Gasps filled the room. She cut 39 seconds, removed all context, created false evidence against a child. I clicked to the next comparison. Here's the Johnson's daughter, edited to look like vandalism, actually just sidewalk chalk. Another click. The Patel twins, edited to look like harassment, actually just skateboarding. I showed the network analysis. 23 cameras recording illegally into homes, no Arizona contractor license for the installer, no data retention policy, and evidence showing Meadowbrook's enforcer sold your surveillance footage for $500 a month without your knowledge or consent. The room erupted. Then Kevin Ramos stood up in the back. Every head turned. I installed this system. His voice carried across the clubhouse. Diane Hartwell ordered me to target specific families, to edit footage, to build files on children. I was wrong to comply. But I won't be silent anymore. He walked to the front, faced the board chair directly. You told me to get evidence against Nathan Cross's son. You told me to make that basketball accident look deliberate. You told me children were acceptable targets if their parents opposed you. The former paralegal's face went pale. I have emails, text messages, proof of everything you've done. A homeowner shouted, I move to immediately remove Diane Hartwell as HOA president and from all board positions. Second, all in favor? A forest of hands. 247 in favor. 8 opposed. Motion carries. Sheriff's deputies entered through the back, approached the tyrant in heels with official documents. Diane Hartwell, we have questions regarding assault on a minor, false imprisonment, illegal wiretapping, and evidence tampering. 3 months later, I stood in the community park watching workers remove camera number 87. 140 cameras total, every single one coming down. Court order, complete system shutdown following the judge's ruling on privacy violations. Diane Hartwell faced 14 criminal charges: assault on a minor, false imprisonment, illegal wiretapping, evidence tampering, operating an unlicensed security service. Her trial was set for January. Her husband had resigned from city council. She'd moved out of Meadowbrook Village entirely. The class action settled for $2.8 million. Every homeowner compensated for privacy violations. Every child's fabricated incident file ordered destroyed by the court. Eli played basketball 20 feet away from me. No security guards following him. No cameras documenting his every move. Just a 10-year-old kid playing like kids should play. He missed a shot. The ball bounced wild, hit a bench. He looked at me with momentary panic. It's okay, buddy. Accidents happen. His smile came back. He ran after the ball. Kevin Ramos worked at the elementary school now. Proper security job with proper oversight. He'd testified at the preliminary hearing, provided every piece of evidence that mattered. He stopped by once a month to check on Eli, redemption through honesty. The HOA had new leadership, new bylaws. No surveillance systems allowed without full transparency and homeowner approval. Term limits. Open meetings. Everything Diane's regime had corrupted, now rebuilt with accountability. I'd started privacy rights in HOA communities, an advocacy group using my cybersecurity expertise to help families across Arizona identify illegal surveillance, document violations, fight back legally. 12 families so far. 12 communities where the board chair thought cameras meant control, where residents didn't know their rights, where children were being targeted like Eli had been. The workers finished removing the last camera from our section. The pole stood empty. No lens watching, no recording, no surveillance state. Eli ran over, basketball under his arm. Dad, can we get ice cream? Yeah, we can get ice cream. We walked past the empty camera pole, past the bench where Sarah used to bring him, past the park where he could finally just be a kid again. Diane Hartwell had tried to turn surveillance into power. Instead, she'd taught 280 families that privacy matters, that cameras can be weapons, that sometimes fighting back means using the same technology against those who abuse it. If you want more stories of homeowners standing up to HOA tyranny, hit subscribe right now, share your story in the comments, and let me know where you're watching from.